So greetings, everyone. It's a nice, cozy gathering. Um, I'm just going to explain a little bit about what I'm going to do. Both artistics and myself, we have been doing something that we've referred to as the food journey. I should say that my background is in agriculture, in food and farming and nourishment. Actually, I don't usually talk about food and farming. I talk about nourishment and cultivation because I think these are so relevant terms for these times and certainly very relevant to the idea of transition. So after studying this and working for some time in different parts of the global south, I felt really, really strongly, and also coming here and working on various green issues and issues to do with diversity and all kinds of things. I felt really strongly that there were so many contradictions in how we think about what is referred to as the food system and the reality of our needing to be nourished. And that's really birthed the food journey, which is a multi-sensory experience. And unfortunately, I can't bring that to you now. And if it had been possible, I would have tried to have gotten you prepared by you having some props with you, which you could feel and smell and and eat and all of this. So I'm going to have to ask you to use your imaginations as much as possible as we go through and to think very carefully about the things that I'm saying and really not only kind of go through them with your mind, but use your memories of the taste and the texture. And if there is anything to hand when I talk about it, just do make use of it, and we can have a discussion about how this has impacted you when I've completed it. So Artistics is here to help with the sound on this occasion. Thank you. And I hope it all goes very well. If it doesn't, no worries. We'll just continue to proceed and I hope you will engage with this as much as you possibly can. So, by way of introduction, a critical part of the changes we are to embrace in transitioning towards the worlds that we hear breathing is in how we relate to the earth in terms of nourishment, how we nourish our bodies, our minds, and our souls is not as segregated as we might believe especially when we consider that these aspects of ourselves are closely interlinked between themselves and between each other, each person with each other, individually and collectively, and of course, all of us with the earth. The way we live now, we could not, it's impossible to believe that this is so. This integration that is actually happening, us being part of the earth, us being part of each other. Yeah. These lives that we live currently of individual self-centeredness, pursuing the next as opposed to the present moment, or more connected to inglorious pasts rather than the potentials in the presentness of things. The question I wish to ask you, or ask you to ask yourselves, is can we live lives in which nourishment evokes a sense of not only nourishing oneself and one's community, but with reciprocity, nourishing the earth that nourishes us and those who play a key role in enabling this nourishment to happen. I'm going to read a short piece tracing our nourishment, which questions what might it be like to respect the origins of things in terms of foods. And I'll talk about, well, the short poem will explain itself really. And then there's another longer piece, which is going to be snippets from a much bigger piece, which is called the ecological imaginary, which, as I said, like the food journey, normally is performed in a really interactive way. So often people wear blindfolds and they're offered things to taste, to touch, to feel, to smell, and to listen to. But that piece that follows raises other questions around the ethics of nourishment and what is it to be able to move from the past to the present with integrity so that we can shape a transitioning into a future that doesn't carry so much of the trauma and the shame and the grief and the sense of loss of lives that we cannot face or for which we might hold a lot of regret. Our present lives, the ones we wish to transition with, can be, I feel, less burdened if we can acknowledge the load which is called modernity and agree to put it down to make traveling together more possible. Imagine you're carrying a heavy load with two hands, and so you haven't got hands free to hold the hands of those next to you, whether it's hugging a tree or holding a small child's hand or an elderly person, because we're so loaded down by the past. And it is so important to travel together, to transition together. To travel fast, you travel alone. To travel far, you travel together. That's what a Bantu proverb says. And I say the same surely applies to the practice of transition. So, this is the first question to you. Wouldn't it be glorious if we could eat from places where species actually have a center of biodiversity? Would it be nice or just out of the ordinary? Would it be extraordinary or actually revolutionary? To eat, not from where popular media says that food is sourced, but tracing those first natal places where the species first emerged, or to the places where they first diverged from the wild type to the edible, or from the edible to the local tradable. But no further, lest we stray into the byways of modernity, of exploitation and commodity. So our bread would be Levantine, healthy pearls nourished in the carefully irrigated sandy soils of the Fertile Crescent, dipped in the rich and shimmering oil of olive from groves in which Jesus wept. Our yam, freshly lifted from the red mounds betwixt the sacred groves of Ifa and Oshun, spiced and anointed with freshly extracted red oil from the multipurpose palm tree's fruit. Our plump tomatoes, capsicums of all sizes and flavors, plucked from vines entwined with the trails of beans, selected by women wearing stiff skirts and painted blouses and memories of Mayan forebears. What if our plant sciences were written by latter-day Eves with yesteryear memories and poetries that would cause our grandmothers to weep? Let's listen to an ecological imaginary sound. Hush, little planet, don't rage the world. Mama's gonna bring you an ocean swirl. And if that ocean swirl don't drown, Mama's gonna shake Earth upside down. And if that quaking fails to surprise, Mama's gonna break out the raging fires. And if those hot spots don't feel enough, Mama's gonna rain pon the dirty tough. And if that water isn't a sign, Mama'll call in the dead and dying. And if the humans still won't hear, then we'll know that they just don't care.
Grandmama, Grandmama, you were going to tell me the story. Tell me the story. The story of how it all started. How did it all start? Please tell me before you're done. Let me know the story of how it all happened.
Child, you're so impatient. The story that has happened has been told so many times. So many times before, and by so many. You have heard so many versions, yet you still want to hear mine?
Yes, Grandmama, I want to hear your story. It is the only true story, Grandmama.
Hmm. Truths are hidden in every story, my child. Every account contains at least a little bit of it, sprinkled over its narrative, folded in between sentences, hidden within the words. You, my child, must learn to listen well and deeply because you are in the stages of becoming, and you will become, even as I became. It is the words that will make you or unmake you. It is the word that will set you free. We are words, words made flesh. Word,
Word made flesh.
word.
Court is now in session.
Who gives consent? Who gave consent? Who consents to millennia of forced penetration, land degradation, stem cells broken, IP stolen, life forms token, land grabs, grabbed bags, excavation, manipulation, exploitation, expulsions, ejectile projectiles, fracking, sacking, and life force tracking? Who gives consent? Who gave consent? Who consents? It is like a Sally Hemings and a Thomas Jefferson moment. Coal in the hole, oil in the soil, gas under the grass, then kiss my ass. Fool, don't drool, pick up the spool, make it cool. Not ice age cool. Burn the fuel, burn the fuel. Commodity is property, property commodity. Let loose the invisible hand, sift through Sahara sand. Make a market, make a sale. Make a baby, make it pale. We got cotton and cacao, shea and cocoa butter. Make it smooth like Vaseline. It's crude, don't you stutter? We got wheat and palm oil, enough to make your blood boil. We got plantation, border nation, and flights to Rwanda. But shea butter's more expensive when it comes from Uganda. Can I just check? Can you hear me? Just put your thumbs up if you can.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Perfect.
Thanks. Fiat panis. Let them eat bread. Take up your bread and eat. Take up your pasta and eat. Bread and then pasta, one after the other. Taste, smell, eat. Einkorn, Emma, spelt, Khorasan, Kamut. Einkorn, Emma, spelt, Khorasan, Kamut. Einkorn, Emma, spelt, Khorasan, Kamut. Kamut, Kamut, Kamut. These are the names of modernized ancestors of the many, many main types. Triticum aestivum for breads and cakes, and Triticum durum for pasta and biscuits and noodles. Palestine, Syria, Lebanon, Turkey, Iraq, and Iran. Palestine, Syria, Lebanon, Turkey, Iraq, and Iran. Palestine, Syria, Lebanon, Turkey, Iraq, and Iran make up what was known as the Fertile Crescent, the source of ancestor wheat, domesticated through the science of selectors, who would often be those who nurtured the grain, who milled it by hand, who baked it, who shared it, who knew its properties intimately. Woman. Carbohydrates fueled by hydrocarbons, fueled by carbohydrates, fueled by hydrocarbons. Feeding the people, feeding the machines who were taking people's jobs. The hydrocarbons are involved in refineries of different types to produce white goods, removing the nutrients of the whole brown grain and introducing white flour, white sugar, whiteness as refined, overconsumed, bringing on diabetes, which makes one go blind. Refineries, an elevation of desperation. The more the breeding, the more refined. Green revolution, the more refined. Nutrient dilution, the more refined. Gliadins and gluten, the more refined. Pesticide and herbicide pollution, the more refined. Fewer health benefits, the more refined. Vulnerability to environment, the more refined. The more refined, the more refined, the more refined. Algorithms of control, the more defined. The more refined, it's the greed that makes us go blind. Or perhaps it is as a result of our relationship with the non-human world, of which we are a part. The higher the level of refined diet, the lower the level of dietary fiber. The more disturbed the gut microbiota, the more depressed, anxious, and stressed we're likely to be. In understanding the relationship between commodity and person, we unearth anew the history of ourselves. The biggest producers of wheat in the world: China, India, Russia, USA, Canada. The biggest consumers of wheat in the world: China, India, Pakistan, Russia, Turkey, and Iran. In 2022, the top exporters of wheat were Australia, USA, Canada, France, and Russia. In 2022, the top importers of wheat were Egypt, China, Indonesia, Nigeria, and Turkey. Let us take a moment to reflect, to redirect our thoughts and feelings. Close your eyes a moment. Take our bodies to the brownest of places, the center of a cacao bean. Inside a healthy brown cacao pod, hanging from a brown barked cacao tree, standing in the red-brown soil of the forest nearby a Mayo Chinchipe temple in Ecuador. Inside the temple, inside the spiral, in the center of the temple, in fetal position, in the very center, is the cacao woman. And from her head grows the founding knowledge of cacao, and her body is surrounded by clay vessels of cacao beans. To make a ceremony or to do a ritual honors the more than human amongst and part of us. To venerate the living beings who share their bodies with us is to acknowledge continuities. Cacao has passed through many hands, from Peru and Ecuador up the Pacific coast to the Olmec and Maya of Yucatan, Guatemala, and Mexico, and handed down to the Aztec, from whom the Portuguese and Spanish violently took over and grew plantations and exploited cacao bravo from the Amazon and spread it across the Caribbean, mainly Trinidad and Jamaica, with the help of other European colonizers, and then transported it across to West Africa, where enterprising smallholders expanded production to become, with colonial interventions, world-leading producers. In Europe and America, the raw product has undergone many refinements, oh, not that word again, to become, in cases, more valuable than gold, but also combined with sugar and Quakers and dried milk powder surpluses to become a common sweet and beverage far removed from its origins. Aimé Césaire spoke of the boomerang effect. This is what he had to say. Colonization dehumanizes even the most civilized man. That colonial activity, colonial enterprise, colonial conquest, which is based on contempt for the native and justified by that contempt, inevitably tends to change he who undertakes it. That the colonizer, who in order to ease his conscience gets in the habit of seeing the other man as an animal, accustoms himself to treating him like an animal and tends objectively to transform his own self into an animal. It is this result, this boomerang effect of colonization that I wanted to point out. We remind ourselves of this effect because this commodification of cotton, of wheat, and of cacao starts with primitive and violent accumulation, escalates into myopic intensification, and ends up with causing dire affliction to the end users. In all cases, it is the body of the woman who is predominantly exploited, intensified, and afflicted. We have not been noticing this because of the separations of race, class, and age, the autolytic carriers of both forgetfulness and absurdity. It is about time we repossessed the ecological reimaginary and held ourselves accountable to our more than human selves. And over time and over place, in which we can step out of the limiting colonial imaginary and step into the complementarities which exist in excess. Let us consider how we might lubricate the transition, the transformation as a tantric move towards greater self-love. If cacao is the aphrodisiac, the route to introducing into our lives the Audre Lordian erotic, the sensitivity to intimacy as an ancestral place of sacred connection, then we might need protection against all untoward forces. We invite in the possible whilst navigating the impossible. Let us sit in the depths of the oleaginous substances of the earth. From the cacao tree came cacao butter. From the shea nut tree came shea butter. From the palm tree came palm oil and palm kernel oil. But from the womb of Mama Earth came crude oil. And from that, fuels of many kinds, chemicals of many kinds, nylon as in stockings, and petroleum jelly, paraffin oil, and Vaseline. Sniff, smell the air around you. What can you smell in the air around you? What can you detect? Take in the smells of your environment. Breathe deeply, breathe shallowly, breathe in the intermediate. What, oh, what can you smell? Even the scent of roses is not as man supposes, and goodness only noses the noselessness of man. This quote from G.K. Chesterton's dog character is not so far off from reality. The further removed from nature is the human, the lesser the ability to speak and interpret the languages of the other than human. We start at the point that makes sense to us as humans with our less developed senses, barely seeing only a small part of a spectrum, rarely smelling very little detection. We are losing what we had of touch and feeling we don't do too much. And if we could only listen to each other and to the earth, our ancient mother. So there is so much that we should take account of, be responsible for, to be hesitant about, to be vulnerable, unsure. Let us, with our eyes closed, open up our hearts and minds. Let us use our imagination and our feelings and explore. What can we find? Feel with our hands, our fingers. Let the sensations speak to our soul. Remember beyond remembering, back to when the earth was whole. What can you smell around you? What do you learn from what you can smell around you? Smell your skin. Take your hands and put them up to your nostrils. Smell your arms. Smell your fingers. Smell your clothing. Smell the air around you. Smell is constituted socially rather than with the nose. Mostly, we know that the word for smelling is the same as the adjective, which causes so much stigmatized confusion. The word for that, the lack of that sense, anosmia, was only brought to us as a symptom of COVID-19. Smell is associated with class and caste. The smellier one is, the closer is one's association of with lacking the means of controlling one's odors or the environments in which unpleasant odors are rife. So much advertising is based upon smell. The pleasant smells we are to move towards, which are often unnatural aromas, the perfumes, the manufactured ketones and aldehydes, the artificial ingredient that is likely to leave you with an allergic response, the E numbers. So there is a resurgence of the natural smell, the natural appearance, the natural sounds, and the natural textures. It makes us greener, cleaner, and meaner. What does it mean to reimagine with our nostrils the future places we yearn for? What do your futures smell like? What in your life holds the smells that you were moving away from? And what are the smells that you were moving towards? How much of your aspirational smells are also colonizing? Who owns the smells and what are they anchored in that we might not wish to admit? If there were to be a hierarchy of the senses, sight would be a runaway Usain Bolt in first place, and smell would be the charity marathon runner coming in after all the other competitors have gone home. Unless, that is, you are Bororo from Brazil, or Ongi from the Andaman Islands, or many other folk from the tropics who wisely discern on the basis of smell. Let's delve into the smells. If the revolution won't be televised, we could surely sniff out our future allegiances. Imagine you're creaming onto your skin some really lovely smelling cocoa butter. You could eat it. That smell reminiscent of chocolate. Just imagine, stroke your skin on your arms, you're rubbing in some cocoa butter. Can you feel it? Can you smell it? Ooh, luscious, luscious cocoa butter. If you don't like it, you're a nutter. Roll it gently between palms. Smell that fragrant natural balm. Cocoa butter's not a mystery. It shares cacao's brutal history. Once Turtle Island was colonized by Portugal and Spain and plenty of lies, making cacao their exclusive prize, whilst the laborers were dehumanized. But butter extract was Van Houten's, who were a family and who were Dutch, separated the fat from cocoa butter when with an alkali it came in touch, then recombined it nice and slowly as it made the chocolate glide down the throat so smooth and sensual the market could not be denied. And those markets globally expanded from hot chocolate to what fries now demanded. But when we think of those calloused hands who harvest pods and work the land, those women's bodies sorting beans in the sun, whose labor is mostly unrecognized by everyone, who don't get to taste what their labor has created, yet for whom degrowths now topias are clearly related. Just imagine, with thinking borders undefined, what new uses for cocoa butter these same rural women's hands would find. There are many separations that seem to come naturally to the rational mind. Segregative thought creates abyssal thinking, categorizes hierarchies of humans, defines bodies into particular compartments based upon conditioned superficialities. And yet, when it comes to the idea of the commodified, patriarchy aligns itself with misogyny, misogynoir, and white supremacy to form seamless hegemonies which positively stick together with the pursuit of capital as a central glue. Where, oh, where is the healing? And come to think of it, where is the feeling? What are the values to which we are appealing, and in what hidden inner principles are we revealing? Reflection can provide good insights if we are first accustomed to holding a mirror to ourselves. Can you feel your hearts? Black women often have higher bodily concentrations of some phthalates and parabens compared to white women. This is because of our higher exposure to products that contain them, such as hair relaxers, hair lotions, and root stimulators. Wait, why are these products so toxic in the first place? Be careful of the brand of cocoa butter you use. Make it unrefined. There are so many fats, natural and unnatural. Let's explore another old one, shea butter. Take up your shea butter and glide it across your skin. Smooth and creamy, soft and dreamy. Hold it to your nose and breathe in the natural scent. Smooth and creamy, soft and dreamy. No, it was one of the first industrialized tropical fats. Smooth and creamy, soft and dreamy, and used as far back as in ancient Egypt. Smooth and creamy, soft and dreamy. As a predominantly woman's crop, shea butter is the labour of an estimated 18 million women, and profits supplement household income, raising families without erasing the fragile ecosystem that supports its continuity. Yet, day by day, large and small entrepreneurs, and entrepreneur, you must know, means those who enter and take, are seeking to make profit and denude the forest. The women meet and they gather, process and produce this creamy fat that has uses all over the industrialized world. It is in your fridge, in your cupboard, and in your bedroom. Yet we have not yet fully appreciated this fruit of the earth. We have not yet given value to what earth yields are really worth. Our valuations are upside down as if we don't stand on the ground, and if we look around, our estimations are just not sound. We are earth, kin with earth, family with the earth. Earth is our living room, our kitchen garden, front and back rooms. We are earth, children of earth, sibling with earth in all her life forms, past and unborn. Jama, kindred, family, all. Where is my grandchild? Grandchild? Grandmama, how is it that you managed to survive all of these things that happened to you? You are amazing. I want to be like you one day. I want to have your power to be resilient and survive the human. My child, survive I have so far. But survival alone is not all, is not everything. We have not incarnated, we have not materialized just to be survivors. We are here to fully be, to be in our entirety, to be completely and utterly, to inhabit every inch of our capacity and rejoice in our rich lives resplendently. Yet we are living as if we are on edge, in fear of failing our uninspiring lives in service to money and what it can buy. We speak of ecosystem services instead of us serving our ecologies so that we can all thrive and be able to live rich lives. My child, learn from these lives which we have spoken of, track their past and their futures, and you will know how to live with them. Listen to the soundscape of the more than human, and you will be well. Silvia Federici notes, In a social system committed to the devaluation of our lives, the only possibility of economic and psychological survival resides in our capacity to transform everyday practices into a collective terrain of struggle. Christina Sharp writes, despite knowing otherwise, we are often disciplined into thinking through and along lines that re-inscribe our own annihilation, reinforcing and reproducing what Sylvia Wynter has called our narratively condemned status. More than this, Sharp adds, the methods most readily available to use sometimes, oftentimes, force us into positions that run counter to what we know. I say that these things, that knowing is often intuitive and embodied, yet as such, it is often reduced to what is referred to as merely lived experience. So for some, self-doubt might set in. Then those marginalized bodies are persuaded to make decisions which do not respect and integrate this inner wisdom. We live in the aftermath of a whiplash consciousness, a deeply embedded psyche of fear held by trauma. Embodied and immersive experience offers the possibility of recognition, acknowledgement of what one is carrying and where and how one is located in regard to agency and relationships to time, space, and materiality. This recognition, this acknowledgement, just might be the first step to healing of the self and for collective repair through deepening self-knowledge. I ask you, what will you say that you can feel when the body already knows? We're back again. Well, that took longer than I thought. Um, yeah, we were just trying to just pick some bits out of the entirety of it. And so we're back with just a few minutes, but I would love to hear how did that small journey there make you feel? Just maybe you can write something in the chat about, yeah, how you were feeling through that. What were the things that it raised for you? Yes, please. Cuckoo?
Cuckoo. Cuckoo is from my heart to your heart in an ancient language from the indigenous of Colombia. And I'm very like reborn, could be like with many senses in my body, in my I was smelling me, I was like, oh, I need to take a shower. No, but I was like playing with your words and on with your emotions and all the I am feel very touched because I'm a poetry too. I'm a writer. I'm an artist, and it's like taking all that emotions, like the anger, and the love, and to fall in love, and to look the beauty and the power to change, power for the transmutation. So thanks a lot. I will follow you. I would like to apply all the like open mic sessions with that style. I'm very grateful for your poetry and to touch my heart and do the magic with the words and the sounds and everything. Thanks, Mama. Y hecho, cuckoo.
Thank you, Kuku.
Thank you so much. I wish we had more time, Mama. The next time we do, yeah.
Yes. Yes. Next
Amazing.
time I prepare you better with being able to bring things. It's always good to. I think that, you know, with what happened with COVID is that we, you know, touch was, you know, indicted. We weren't supposed to touch each other. We was became even more separated, and I think reclaiming our feelings, reclaiming our senses is a way to connect back with Earth, right? Which is sensory as we are. And so, yeah, thank you. Thank you for those comments online. Tom has written it was extremely thoughtful and thought-provoking, called into question many of the inconsistencies and injustices that inhabit our collective consciousness of our environment. Yeah. Thinking together is good. Yeah, to be able to think together.